Hello there, beautiful people. I'm Tracy Rigdon, and this is the Contrast Project Lounge podcast. On today's episode, we'll be talking about jailhouse overcrowding and the lighter side of incarceration. Ready for this? Let's go. I want to talk about prison and jailhouse overcrowding in this episode. Overcrowding of our prison system and jail system has been a problem for decades. It has literally been a problem for decades. And it made me think recently about our local systems in Northeast Florida, Clay County Jail specifically. In mid-March, another series of articles and news stories, came out about the Clay County Jail, which is located in Green Cove Springs, overseen by Clay County Sheriff's Office. And at the time of this particular article, now they've come out before, 2022, 2019. I would say that the current administration, the current jail system and sheriff's office, which is overseen by Clay County Sheriff Michelle Cook. She has been embattled with this ever since she began her tenure in Clay County. She has gone to the Clay County Commission with requests for expansion. And like I said, at the time of this, and I'm coming to you with this firsthand knowledge, okay? On March the 17th, a story broke. One of the local news stations and the local papers, a couple of the local papers, actually came out with the same story, essentially. They echoed the same sentiment, that at that time, at that date, on that date, that the Clay County jails were over capacity, that beds and storage is limited, and staff are being forced out of their own offices to accommodate. Storage is being moved, inmates are being moved around. The open dorms, there are a couple of dorms, large-scale dorms, where there are supposed to be some 60, I believe. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah. Per dorm. And they were over capacity. And I'll tell you how I know. I was a guest at the Clay County Jail at the time that this particular series of articles came out, March 17th. And I will tell you, now they're saying that, the assumption on the street with, people going into jail that, 3 hots and a cot, right? Well, I can assure you, just as the article said, so it's true, that inmates were sleeping on the floor. I was one of them. We'll talk about that in another episode. However, I will tell you, it's not directly on the concrete floor, but it's darn close, inches from it. You're on what they call, in the article, described it correctly, a boat. It's what's called a boat. It's a large plastic thing that the mattress is put on, and the mattress is not much better than sleeping on the floor anyway. There are bunks. The bunks were full. There were several boats lined up down the railing on the upper deck and the lower deck. Like I said, this is an open dorm cell block. At the time, there were some 44 beds, 20 lower, plus the floor pallets. Let's see here. See if I can read this. There were 14 tables downstairs, 4 shower heads in one open bay, large open bay, which, by the way, is directly across from the watchtower. I get the security issue, but the privacy is gone. And again, I understand it's not the Ritz. It's never intended to be a Ritz. You give up your privacies when you go in jail. That's it. Bottom line. Now, were the conditions horrible, inhumane? No, far from it. Again, was it the Ritz-Carlton? No, far from it. 3 hots and a cot? No. There were not 3 hot meals, 2 lukewarm meals of some softish food and occasionally a mystery meat. And then the afternoon meal was either a peanut butter sandwich or a bologna sandwich. And I understand that they're probably tight on their budget. I noticed that they were somewhat understaffed, although the burden didn't seem to be too much. I will tell you that the corrections officers, at no time that I witnessed, at no time did they lay hands forcefully on any of the inmates, me included. Did they act with any disrespect? No, far from it. They were always yes or no, sir, called you by your last name, what have you. They were always polite. They were always firm, but polite, respectful. So, to their credit, I think they're doing a phenomenal job over there at the Clay County Jail with what they have. As far as the overcrowding situation goes, it had, again, like I said, had been taken to the Clay County Commission by the sheriff and her staff to talk with them about a 10-year capital improvement program. In other words, they would like to see not only just a new jail building built. They want a complex built, something along the lines of a campus structure where they can house the sheriff's office, some administrative offices, as well as the jail. And I assume some maybe smaller courtrooms for, the inmates to attend, because their court, the courtroom is next to the jail in Green Cove Springs, and they have to transport the inmates over to the courtrooms on a regular basis. So it would behoove them to be close proximity to at least 1 or 2 small courtrooms. So I don't know if the general courtroom would be in the campus structure, plan. Who knows? There's several things. It'll be several $1 million. Several. Jails are not cheap, as noted by Sheriff Cook. That really is a no-brainer. Jails are not cheap to build. You're talking about not just the safety and security of the inmates, but the officers as well. The safety and security as in infrastructure. The building itself has to be a secure building, of course. The technology that goes into the building, the surveillance within and without, the technical aspects of it. This is an undertaking. This is going to be quite an undertaking, but it's something that the area needs. If you're familiar with at all, Clay County, it is growing leaps and bounds. It is, a lot of people are moving to the area. So there is the assumption, you hear within a lot of the citizenry that there is, an uptick in crime in Clay County, and that's not the case. Percentage-wise, per capita, there is no uptick percentage-wise in the criminal activity in the Clay County area. What it is a numbers game. There are more people. With more people comes more crime. And a lot of people that are incarcerated in this jail, they're petty crimes, misdemeanors, nonviolent, mostly. I didn't meet any in the cell block where I was a guest. I met no violent criminals. There were some, sketchy dudes in there, but still, it's jail, right? So the Clay County at the time was over 90% capacity, and the proposed new campus-style law enforcement complex would consolidate, like I said, the sheriff's office, county jail, administrative offices, and some storage buildings into one location. A well-oiled machine, in other words. In Sheriff Cook's own words, we've got to expand. Pulling together all of my operations and adding the additional jail space are my priorities. And that just makes sense. We have got to move forward with a long-term solution instead of the short-term Band-Aids. And, excuse me, when she talks about the short-term Band-Aids, that's where they've had to empty out some of the rooms in the jailhouse, actually move some of the rooms to accommodate either inmates and or, other storage for the inmates, mattresses, the jumpsuits, and all that stuff, and their personal belongings and things like that. A lot of office space has been given up by staff members to accommodate the number of inmates. It's just had to be done. The long-term solution would include expanding the jail to make room for more inmates as the county's population rises. Like I said, there's more people moving to Clay County, so there's more need for it. There is more need for it. And I'll go back to when I spoke with Sheriff Cook a while back, that the overall officer to, citizen ratio in Clay County is below the national and the state averages. So she is understaffed. The Clay County Sheriff's Office is understaffed, and they need more people. And of course, you can go to their website. They also have opportunities for volunteers. And I talk about them a lot because I have a lot of respect for the Clay County Sheriff's Office. I really do. Even though I've had my run-ins with them, I'm not a saint, but I do have a lot of respect for them. She goes on to say, as we continue to grow, more specialty equipment is needed in our area. Specialty equipment. I'm assuming she's talking about SWAT stuff and emergency management stuff. The director of emergency management, John Ward, went on to say about that. Currently needs about 40,000 to 50,000 square feet of storage space, and the normal capacity that they have now is far below that, and that number will continue to rise as well. They have some pretty severe needs, the sheriff went on to say. Piecemealing us into portions of another building or putting 20 people over here, 10 people over there is just not the way to do business. And that makes perfect sense. It's not any way to do business of any kind. And in the business of law enforcement, you need not only ample quantity of officers, but you need quality officers. And I will tell you that whether or not it's in the news or not, or whether you hear about it, I tend to hear a lot about it where I'm at. Okay. I'm able to put my finger on the pulse in this area, being, so close to it, that you don't hear a lot of horrible instances coming from the Clay County Sheriff's Office. You do not. You don't hear about the, police brutality, excessive force issues that you may see, in the national news or in on your TV of any other city or, nearby, or the state of Florida in general, or you just don't hear it. There was one instance before Sheriff Cook came into office. There was a scandal within the office, had nothing to do with her or the current, staff members, but that was handled. And now they have a new sheriff, and quite frankly, I think Sheriff Cook is doing a great job. All the officers that I've spoken with seem to think that she's the right person for the job. Got years and years of decades of experience. Was once the highest ranked female officer in the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Went on to become sheriff of Atlantic Beach in Northeast Florida, and then moved back to her home area, her home county, Clay County, and became sheriff out here. Overwhelmingly so. In fact, many of the people in the Democratic Party out here, she ran as a Republican, and as did all of the candidates for sheriff. And many of us in the Clay County Democratic Party temporarily switched our parties to Republicans so that we could vote for her. Which is totally legal. People do it all the time, so don't think we did anything sketchy. As soon as the election was over with, we went back to our party. But again, I will say that they're doing all they can with what they have. If they can get the 10-year capital improvement plan going, get it underway, they're going to have to come up with the funds. Of course, I believe it's $40 or $50 million. Believe it or not, it's a lot of money. And they're going to have property. They're going to have a site plan. Not only a site plan, they're going to have designs. They're going to have. There's going to be consultants coming in from all over the country. There are people that consult on the construction of jails and so forth, the penal system. So hopefully they'll get that taken care of, and the people of Clay County can count themselves very lucky that they will have one of the most state-of-the-art facilities in their area, led by some of the most professional police officers I have met personally. And for what it's worth, some of the most professional officers I have met, and corrections officers that I have met, and sheriff personally that I have met. So that's my 2 cents. Coming up, we're going to talk about the lighter side of the inside of the jail. Stick around. I'd like to thank all my friends, fans, and followers over on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Please don't forget to like, share, and comment. And on our YouTube channel, like, share, comment, and smash the subscribe button. Don't forget to ring that bell so you get notifications whenever we have a new episode come up. And don't forget that the podcast itself, the audio version, can be streamed on all major streaming platforms. And you can find my crazy shenanigans over on TikTok. I thought I'd take just a minute to poke fun at something that would be otherwise considered a horrible situation. Incarceration. some little known fun facts, and from experience, I'm not reading this off the internet or anything like that. No, listen, George Carlin used to say you can make fun about anything, and certainly incarceration is one of those things, in my opinion. There was some funny shit. Yeah, right off the bat, I want to start with the myth of the 3 hots and a cot, right? Well, naturally, the assumption of someone that is going to be incarcerated assumes that they're going to be provided with 3 hot meals and a roof over their head for at least 24 hours. Per 24 hours. And in my experience, that was not the case. Now you're going to get, I suppose, somewhere close to the basic food groups in any given 3-meal stretch. But 3 hots in a cot, 3 hots, not so much. 2 warm trays with some sloppy looking thick brown granular slag that is lukewarm at best. And there may be an occasional piece of mystery meat thrown in there just for shits and giggles, I suppose, and a piece of stale bread. The drink for the day would be your, they call it juice or Kool-Aid. It's basically they take a 5-gallon, one of those Igloo 5-gallon dispenser thingies. They fill it up with water and then maybe 1 or 2 scoops of Kool-Aid in that whole 5 gallons now. And they call it juice. And that's the same drink you get at all 3 meals. Now, the third meal is more often than not a couple of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on that same stale bread, or stale bread that is now soggy from being wrapped up with that PB&J for God knows how many hours. They throw in a couple cookies for good measures, I guess, to give you a little bit of joy for the afternoon. Another one of the things that you're going to find is, after your first couple of days, you soon realize that one of the most important things you're going to learn, or going to have to learn how to do, is barter. Bartering is a way of life behind bars. Everything, and I mean anything and everything, has value. The sandwich wrappers, yeah, the worn down little nub pencils, plastic, dinnerware, the sporks. Everything has value in the barter system. And they barter everything. So if you want to have a little something else to eat, you save things up and you trade them. Usually that's what people do, is trade for food. That's predominantly what I saw. And the number one traded commodity in that system that I could tell, I would say the number one commodity is ramen noodles. That's right. Ramen noodles. They're like solid gold in the bartering system behind bars. Now, granted, there's no hot plates or, boiling water to make soup with. Well, that's not what they use ramen noodles for. They don't make soup. There's hot tap water. They pour a little bit of it in the bag and usually mix. They're crunched up. They crunch them up. They actually throw the bags on the ground to crunch them up. When you hear that slapping on the ground, somebody's getting ready to eat. They make things with those noodles. And they crunch up bags of, various different flavors of Doritos. That's right, Doritos. They mix those in with the ramen noodles, and they either pour it out on a, whatever anybody wants to use for a bowl at any given time. My personal favorite is the ramen noodle and Dorito chips burrito. Yeah. They put that stuff in a tortilla and wrap it up like a burrito. And they've even found a way to make their own hot sauce. They use like sauce packets and all kinds of other stuff and mix it all up. Now, granted, it's not really hot. I mean, to my liking. It's not like Louisiana hot sauce or anything like that. But, yeah. Anyway, going back to the cots. The 3 hots in a cot. The cot, that's debatable. There are bunk beds, and I guess you could consider those cots. And with the prison overcrowding, the jail overcrowding that we spoke about before, there were no extra bunks for some of us that showed up late. they have this thing that they put on the floor. It's a big plastic thingamabob that they call a boat. The actual name stamped on the side of it was Stack-a-Bunk. Anyway, the mattress goes on top of that. It's on the floor. You sleep on the floor. So you get 2 warm plates of slop and a pallet on the floor. You know? Okay, now, one of the happy days of the week, one of the happy days in the cell block is commissary day. Of course, that's when everybody stocks up on ramen noodles. That night, the night that everybody gets their commissary supply, their cantina supply, excuse me, when they get their supply, that night, it's like Jubilee. Everybody's making all kinds of ramen recipes and they're trading. They're going from bunk to bunk. Hey, I got 2 ramens for that. Or, I'll trade you a ramen for that pack of what you got there. Let me get some of those Doritos. I'll give you a pack of ramen. It's amazing. That night is a busy night on the floor. Okay. And lastly, one of the happiest days that I think, besides getting let out, but, second to being released, the happiest day that I saw on the unit, it was the day that they delivered new uniforms. And when I say new uniforms, I'm talking about brand new. It's just been bought, not stuff from the laundry room. This is they were brand new. The striped jumpsuits that you see prisoners wearing, it's a jumpsuit, it's a onesie. And they showed up with brand new ones this one day. And I tell you what, it was quite the spectacle down on the floor. Now, I'm on the second floor looking down. It was quite the spectacle. You would have thought that they were handing out brand new Armani suits to these guys. They were dropping their old ones off into their, in their underwear, walking around, and they're putting on those brand new ones, flipping up the collars and walking around. Yeah, had there been a bunch of cell phones on the block, my God, they would have. Instagram would have been broke with all the selfies. I mean, they were strutting around. I mean, it was a party. You would have thought also that it was half off day at the Gap. They were having just a large time with these brand new prison jumpsuits. Now, to you who've never been incarcerated, to you it might just be, it's just 3-inch stripes. What the hell? Well, to them, hey, that's brand new duds, baby. Some of those people are going to be in there for months and months. Some nice, clean, brand new duds, regardless of what kind they are. At least you feel somewhat human. So, I mean, the next time you think about that roof over your head, the clothes you're wearing, the food you're eating, count your blessings. Count your blessings. For sure. In my closing thoughts on the subject of incarceration and, the jail overcrowding, certainly it's serious business. Being incarcerated is no joke. It's nowhere you want to be. No matter what you've done, there is the possibility, even misdemeanors, minor offenses, even traffic offenses. I know about that. You can wind up in jail, whether it's overnight, whether it's a longer stay, a week or 2. It's not the place you want to be. Certainly not the place you want to be. And it goes on your record, regardless of the reasons. So, try to keep your nose clean if at all possible. Some of us have a real hard time staying between the lanes. But if you find yourself there, I would most definitely recommend that you try your best to make the best of it. Have hope. Keep your eyes focused on your release date. Don't stress too much. Trust me, you have loved ones on the outside who are thinking of you, and you'll get through it. You'll get through it. And like I said in the second segment, George Carlin said that you can make fun out of anything. Yeah. In hindsight, looking back, yeah, there was a lot of things to laugh at. So, that being said, in the meantime, folks, be careful out there. Be vigilant. Take care of yourselves and each other. Until the next time, peace.